Michael. It's nice to meet you. I'm Amanda. Hi, Michael. It's so nice to meet you. Hi, Michael. I'm so happy to finally meet you. I'm Amanda. But you can call me Mom if you'd like.
Inspired days start in inspired closets.
I thought I was the only person who didn't know how to drink appropriately.
Alcohol was best friend for years, and eventually it stopped doing that.
I wasn't in control of my relationship with alcohol anymore.
I just knew I had to quit. I needed to be there for my children.
My day one was May 22nd.
My day one.
Day one for me.
My day one.
My day one.
Day one. My day one.
My day one was December 29th, 2007.
Here at the Alaska Club, we're open, and you'll notice some changes. We've implemented industry-leading measures to protect you and our team. Everything from spreading out people and equipment to installing air scrubbing technology used by NASA in our ventilation systems. You'll find clear instructions on our new protocols posted around our clubs, all for your health and safety and ours. Let's get to the business of working out safely. The Alaska Club, the way fitness should be. To view our new safety measures, visit thealaskaclub.com.
Call Grandma Susie.
Okay, everybody, let's go to lesson 23.
Go, 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 go. I got you covered.
Do you want to order in?
Yes. Yeah, I do.
Okay, it looks like we're all here. Should we get started?
I'm so happy to see you.
Está bien, ¿no?
Alaska Regional Hospital is proud to be a supporter of the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention and the Out of the Darkness Walk. Suicide is one of the leading causes of death in Alaska, and it is the most preventable. Help is always available. Alaska Regional Hospital, above all else, is committed to the care and improvement of human life as we would our most cherished loved one. We treat more than just the body, and our staff are people who care deeply about human struggles and want to help. Or call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK or the crisis text line by texting TALK to 741-741. Thank you for joining us in the Out of the Darkness virtual walk to help save lives.
Bristol Bay Native Corporation.
Courage. Community.
Commitment.
Creativity.
Culture.
Confidence.
We are always more than a corporation.
We're family, we're friends, we're neighbors.
Gathered around a shared sense of purpose.
With community, we gain strength from one another. These bonds, they have no boundaries.
With the courage to be good stewards of Bristol Bay and all of Alaska, through investments in the future so that we all may thrive.
With a commitment to innovate beyond expectations, to lead the way for those that follow, and to always, always stand up for what's right.
And, as it has for millennia, our culture guides the way, rooted in the legacy of our land, in ways of living passed down through generations, and in our cherished stories, lasting traditions, and love.
Bristol Bay Native Corporation.
Working together to invest in our future.
Working together to enrich our native way of life.
We stand together and strive for more.
And we are always more than a corporation.
I'm Dr. Robin Henderson, and I'm a psychologist with Providence Health System. At Providence, we understand the impact the pandemic has had on our communities and on your mental health and wellness. And I'm here to tell you that you're not alone. Hope is not canceled. We know the impact of suicide on our work in the front lines of healthcare, and we feel it personally too. We want our communities to know that they are never alone when dealing with suicide and mental illness. With 1 in 5 Americans impacted by mental health issues, Providence is forming partnerships to reach even more people before a crisis occurs. If you or someone you love needs help, please look for community resources at providence.org. I invite everyone who cares about suicide to join us in coming out of the darkness and walk with us so that we can begin to heal. Thank you, and be well.
Hello and welcome to the 2020 Anchorage Out of the Darkness experience. My name is Dustin and I'm the statewide area director for the Alaska chapter of the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Thank you for joining us. On behalf of AFSP and myself, I would like to begin this program by acknowledging the traditional and ancestral land of the Dena'ina. As a statewide organization, we thank all Indigenous people across this great state for welcoming our message of hope and healing, and with absolute regard and respect, we say Chanan to you. We will begin today's program with a few words from our chapter board chair, Dennis Lastly. Following Dennis, we will proceed with an invocation offered by Alaska Police and Fire Chaplain Fred Voss. We will then proceed with our honor bead ceremony and memoriam. As a reminder, suicide can be a sensitive topic to discuss, but talking about suicide is critical to its prevention. If you feel overwhelmed or need additional support, call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255 or text TALK to 741-741. Please know you do not have to be in crisis to reach out for help.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today for our virtual walk event. My name is Dennis Lastly. I'm the board chair for the Alaska chapter of the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. I want everyone to know that while we're dealing with some uncertain times, that the chapter is still operational and we're still serving the communities at which we support throughout all of Alaska. More importantly, I want you to know that you are not alone, that we're in this together, and together we're going to take suicide and we're going to bring it out of the darkness and we're going to create a culture that is smart around mental health. However, the chapter needs your support more than ever. When you donate to AFSP, you support those who have lost someone to suicide. Funds raised provide training and education in suicide prevention for our schools, for our communities, and for our workplaces throughout all of Alaska. To donate, please visit afsp.org/Alaska. Once again, I want to thank you for joining us today. I want to thank you for your continued support, and it's because of you that we're able to save lives and bring hope to those affected by suicide. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Fred Voss, a chaplain with the Alaska Police and Fire Chaplains. We support our community and our state when we help our neighbors and our friends when traumatic and heartbreaking things happen to us and our loved ones, especially when suicide happens. It's my honor to offer these words of hope and healing to all those affected by suicide in Alaska. Dear God, help us. Help us to hear the calls for help from near and far. Give us the courage to reach out to our hurting neighbors and friends when this occurs. Open our hearts to share comfort with others as we walk alongside them in the days, the months, and the years that follow. Fill us with a resolve to remind them that they are not alone when it comes to our loss of loved ones from suicide. And finally, help us to join our hearts and our hands to walk together in memory and support, knowing your love and strength surrounds us. In your name I ask this. Amen.
My name is Lori Eck-Watson. My husband, Ralph, died from suicide in 2003. I wear red as a reminder to all those who have lost a spouse or partner to suicide. You are not alone. As we join together to stop suicide, to shine a light out of darkness on this issue, we want you to know you are never alone. For resources and to connect with other lost survivors, you can go to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, afsp.org/Alaska.
My name is John East. I wear teal to show my loved ones who struggle with their mental health. They are not alone. Someone is always willing to listen, support, and help connect them to needed resources. Together, we can keep going.
Hi, my name is Jerry. I lost my daughter, Brittany, to suicide 10 years ago. I wear these white beads to acknowledge all those who have lost a child to suicide. I encourage you to keep going, and together we can find hope and healing and create a world that is free of suicide.
Hi, my name is Sharika Bailey. I wear green to honor those who may be coping with their mental health issues or have a lived experience. As a survivor, I want to remind you, together we can keep going.
My name is Victoria Taylor, and I'm a board member with the Alaska chapter and lost survivor. I wear gold in honor of my mother and to show others who've lost parents, you're not alone. Together, we can stop suicide and we can create a culture that's smart about mental health.
My name is Carmel Ingebretson. I'm an Alaska chapter board member and suicide loss survivor. I wear orange in memory of my brother Casey, and I stand together with my family and friends to fight suicide in Alaska.
My name is Kyle Kaiser. I'm a military veteran and a suicide loss survivor. I wear silver to honor and remember those veterans and first responders who succumbed to suicide as a symbol that the fight isn't over. There's strength in reaching out, there's strength in numbers, and together we can keep going.
I'm Carol East. I'm a daughter, wife, mother, grandmother, teacher, caregiver, lifelong Alaskan, and supporter of this important cause. I am many things and understand the complexity of suicide and suicide prevention all too well. I wear blue as a reminder we are in this together and no one is alone. Help is always available. If you or someone you know needs help or are in crisis, please call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255 or text TALK to 741-741.
It's now my pleasure to premiere for the first time Alaska Voices of Hope, Victoria's Story.
Is it a family member or a friend?
My mom.
So when your mom died by suicide, how did it affect you and what were the ripple effects?
Well, I think actually we're still kind of dealing with some of the ripple effects within my family. I think that it was very hard for my family to actually talk about what happened, and particular mental health, right? And I think that just now, like, these are conversations that we're starting to have. I think that, so my mom's suicide, I think, was also, part of it had to deal with alcohol abuse and prescription drug abuse, particularly at that point in her life. And so these are all conversations that we're now starting to talk about, you know, how those substance abuses can oftentimes complicate the issues that are going on. As far as when my mom actually died, I think the most obvious effect was that guilt, right? Of what could I have done differently, or did I give up too soon on her? Did I not try enough to get through and get her the help that I think she needed and probably wanted, you know, in some capacity. So I think that dealing with the guilt now, it's been 7 years, that's a big one. And then I think recognizing that I don't need to carry that burden anymore. That now I can just look at this and learn from it and see, like, what can we do to hopefully prevent this from happening to other families.
Was there anybody that you could lean on to help you through this troubling time?
I think it had to be my dad, because I felt like he really understood what was happening and what I was going through. And so my parents had been divorced for several years by that point. Gosh, over maybe a dozen by that point. And they still remained very close. Like, growing up, my parents actually lived 8 minutes apart from each other so that they could share custody of me. And I think that particularly in that last year of my mom's life, it was really hard. And I was living, for some of that year, I was here already in Alaska. And then the remainder of that year before that, I had been in Kentucky for college. And so my dad was still back home. And I think that he was seeing more of it than I was. And I know I would reach out to him a lot before she died and be like, hey, can you just go check on mom? And I know he would. And so I think, you know, when she died, he was the one that called me. He was the one that told me, and really was the one to kind of carry me through that week of the funeral and, you know, packing up what I could at her house and just trying to kind of sift through things. And so definitely my dad.
What advice would you have for someone who might be facing a suicide situation?
I think that we have to embrace the word suicide and keep talking about it, and also know that mental health is much bigger than maybe some of us can understand, but the starting point of understanding is really in keeping those conversations open and learning more about it, and not being afraid to admit that you lost someone by suicide, or that maybe you've actually struggled yourself. I think there's a lot of strength in embracing that.
Today we have heard from our Alaska chapter chair and other board members, survivors of suicide loss, and those with lived experience. The Out of the Darkness experience brings Alaskans together as a journey of remembrance, hope, and support. It unites our communities and provides an opportunity to acknowledge the ways in which suicide and mental illness have affected our lives and the lives of those we love and care about. We thank you for sharing your stories and honor your loved ones. The American Foundation for Suicide Prevention is dedicated to saving lives and bringing hope to those affected by suicide, and creating a culture that is smart about mental health by engaging the core strategies such as funding scientific research, educating the public about mental health and suicide prevention, advocating for public policies in mental health and suicide prevention, supporting survivors of suicide loss and those affected by suicide. To date, our Alaska chapter has conducted more than 90 community programs this year, reaching more than 1,200 participants, and became the first chapter to pilot our newest program, Enhancing Mental Health, during COVID-19. We recently trained 4 new volunteer facilitators and will be preparing several more later this month. Our Advocacy and Public Policy Committee were some of the first in the nation to host a virtual state capitol day, meeting with our legislators online and by phone to advocate for more public policies regarding mental health and suicide prevention. Alaska is among 5 states to see a decrease in the suicide rate from 2017 to 2018. As a result, Alaska has moved from 2nd in the nation to 4th overall, indicating not only are our efforts working, but there is still more work to be done. We urge you to make time for your mental health and reach out to those you're concerned about. Learn the warning signs and what resources are available in your area at afsp.org/Alaska. Together, we are making a difference and can create a world without suicide. Your help is needed now more than ever. Mental health and suicide prevention are a growing priority for Alaskans everywhere. When you donate to AFSP, you help fund research, improve interventions, train clinicians in suicide prevention, and advocate for public policy that will save lives. You are helping find better ways to reach those who suffer and encourage schools, workplaces, and communities to make mental health a priority. Whether you have lost someone or are struggling with suicidal thinking, you are not alone. AFSP brings people who have been affected by suicide out of the darkness and give them opportunities to help others. We ask you now to consider donating to AFSP by visiting our website at afsp.org/Anchorage. There you can donate a one-time or reoccurring gift to help save lives and bring hope to those affected by suicide in Alaska. We urge you to give generously and to remember the matching gift option. Many of your employers match your donations upon request. Thank you for your support, and thank you for joining us today. To learn more about suicide prevention and how to help, log on to afsp.org/Alaska. And remember, together we can fight suicide, and together we will keep going. One more thing, we'd like to thank our corporate sponsors. Without them, programs like this wouldn't be possible. Thank you to Walmart, Inspired Closets, the Alaska Club, North Star Behavioral Health, Recover Alaska, Channel 2 CBS 5, Alaska Regional Hospital, MTA Foundation, Bristol Bay Native Corporation, and Providence, Alaska. Because of you, we are able to save lives and bring hope to those affected by suicide.